Welcome into another NFL Draft Player Spotlight. Locked On NFL Draft coverage is presented by Ultimate Football GM. If you think you can run an NFL franchise, visit ultimate-gm.com to play the Ultimate NFL GM simulation game. Start your dynasty today. I'm Kainani Stevens in with Daniel Monroe. We've been talking a lot of Bulldogs because a lot of them are expected to be drafted. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. Broderick Jones, we're going to talk about one of the big boys. He's athletic. I think upside is maybe what I would think. Do you feel like that's an accurate way to describe what he's maybe going to be able to do at the next level, or do you feel like he's already there?
I think he's got tremendous upside. I think you're not wrong about that assessment. I think he's also been tested against some of the best edge defenders in college football, and has availed himself really well. So he's gone up against Will Anderson head-to-head in the national championship game in 2021. He played virtually that entire game. And a lot of it matched up against Will Anderson, allowed 0 sacks in that game. He allowed 0 quarterback pressures his entire senior season at the University of Georgia. I mean, he's done a lot against some really talented players, but I think the upside probably outweighs the production on the field at this point for a guy like Broderick. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
In terms of going to the next level, because of obviously he's been able to do a lot, do you see him as someone that can come in and be on a line immediately, or do you feel like he's kind of deciding where they would want to put him and then kind of piecing him in there that way and learning his way in?
Yeah, I mean, I think whether or not he can go be on a line immediately, I think probably depends on who takes him, because he is a tackle. I can't imagine him being moved inside, but by an NFL team. And so I think you'd need an opening, you need some kind of an opening at tackle. But I suspect, recording this, not knowing where he's going to be drafted, I suspect he's going to be drafted high enough that a team is drafting him to be a tackle on their team on day one. And I do think he's ready to do that. I mean, we felt that way about Jamari Sawyer last year, and he slid and got taken in, I don't know what, like the 5th round or the 6th round by San Diego, and then ended up being their left tackle all year because of some injuries and playing really well. I think Broderick Jones is a guy that's gonna be able to start right away and is only going to continue to get better and better.
What are some things you want to see him work on? Like, what will he need to kind of adjust to at the next level? What are some things that he needs to address?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say what he needs to address. I think his biggest weapon, is his speed and his athleticism. And so if you were to say something he needs to address, you'd probably go the other way, and you'd say like technique and strength maybe would be something that where he still has a lot of room to grow, and I think he does have a lot of room to grow in those ways. He's a guy that, you can stick him in there at tackle, and he could shuffle his feet, and he can get back in a pass pro really well and really effectively, which honestly is going to suit his game probably more for the NFL than it did at Georgia even. And he was really good at Georgia. But with the passing rates of NFL teams, in the NFL, like the last few years, I think he's going to be well equipped for that. And then he's a guy that you want to try to put him out in space. He plays really well in the screen game, because he is really athletic. He pulls really well. He moves his feet really well. And so when you're using him in the run game, you're probably better off not just having him hammer straight ahead onto a defensive end or a tight end. He can do that, but you're probably better off using him out in the open a little bit more, either pulling him along with a guard maybe on some sort of a power, or getting him out in space in a screen type situation, because that's where we've seen him really excel in his Georgia career. Like probably double-digit downfield pancakes that he's had leading to big time open runs. So that's what he really brings, I think, is that athleticism.
Because of what you've described, the experience, his athleticism, do you feel like at that position he's the best option for most teams?
I mean, I do. I don't. To be fair, I watch Georgia more than I watch draft prospects, and so I think we talked about a guy like Darnell Washington. I think Darnell Washington will be the best tight end in this class. I don't know that he's he should be the first one drafted. I think there's a lot of great tight ends.
Right.
I think the same thing about Broderick Jones. I think if an NFL team went for him early in the top 10, I do not think they'd be disappointed, because I do think he's going to continue to get better and better, as you mentioned earlier. But I think whether or not he should be the first one drafted, I mean, I don't know. Trying to predict what NFL general managers are going to do is like a no-win proposition. So you will not bait me into doing that.
It is a true waste of time. So I'm proud of you for not saying that. Wherever he ends up, we will keep track of that. Of course, Locked On Bulldogs will tell you everything you need to know. And all of this is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.